This week's episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Squarespace.
EA Games Dead Space.
And GoDaddy.com.
With nothing better to do, get abducted by the crew of the Starship Alpha 2. They're from the planet Q, which, due to a space-time loop, is stuck in 82 and must be rescued. They need our heroes to discuss the latest news and give their reviews of games and movies too. Sure hope you're not confused. We swear this is all true, not just the premise to the Totally Rad Show.
Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad, Totally Rad Show, Totally Rad Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 81. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show's weekly dose of all things rad. We go down to the local junkyard, we grab a 69 Impala, take the hood off, and make it work again. Because that would be rad.
That would be rad.
I don't even know what that meant. We're super excited. Today's background, which is kind of a little sexy, which is very nice, which is Summer Glasgow.
Summer
Glau. From the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yeah.
Sarah Connor
And Firefly.
Chronicles. And Firefly.
Well, I think
Dave
this is
P.
specific.
Simpson.
I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Dave
we
P.
like Firefly.
Yeah, she's River Tem for the rest
Yeah, we're
of my
doing TV
days.
this week. Maybe not that show specifically, but still cool.
I'm very excited because TV, obviously, lots of premieres. We're excited to talk about them. And we're going to do, in a couple weeks, we're going to talk about some even other. Some even other.
Keep watching.
What was the word you wanted?
I want to say bigger
But
because.
then you felt like.
But then I thought,
That's fair.
that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm in your.
So keep watching the show. New shows come out Tuesdays at noon.
Yeah.
Tuesdays at noon. All right, now get out of my car and into my brain. What?
This week in movies, we are talking about two flicks. The first one is Blindness. It is the next movie from my favorite modern director, Fernando Morales, who did City of God and Constant Gardener.
City of God is a phenomenal
Which one
movie.
was City of God? There's so many like
The
City of
Favelas
movies.
We joked about it because we talked about
And I think
Favelas and Incredible Hulk.
I think it's
Favelas or whatever.
Oh, you mean the Brazil? It was
Brazilian
like the
ghettos.
Boys, really dark
I remember
and
seeing that. Right,
drugs and.
Well, I couldn't remember because there's like City of God, City of Angels, City Slickers, City.
Children of Men.
Children of Men. That's the
what
thing that I get into my mind. So.
All right.
Okay, we're talking about Blindness. So, Blindness stars Mark Ruffalo and Julianne Moore in any city. Oh, I should say it's based on a book. It's based on a Nobel Prize-winning book by Jose Saramago. Interestingly enough, 3 out of the 4 movies we're going to be talking about over the next couple weeks based on books.
Well,
interesting.
And this was supposedly a property that had been floating around for a long time. People thought it would be very difficult to adapt to the screen. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Which is interesting because as me and my girlfriend were walking out, this lady was walking out and we started talking about the movie and she joined in and had read the book and filled us in on all the differences.
I would be very curious to hear that.
I will tell you
So,
this.
Blindness is about Mark Ruffalo, Julianne Moore, and many others in a city where a plague of blindness is taken over, and they've put the people that have become blind into quarantine. And it's basically this Lord of the Flies-like story of these people alone in quarantine.
And of course, Julianne Moore, in the trailers, is said
Yeah.
That she's sighted.
Right.
Why? That's not. Why are you
Sure,
looking at me like
you
I'm
can say
spoiling
it or
the
not
movie?
say
That
it.
is in the trailer.
If
She
you want to
says
say that, you can say it. So, but
you can't not talk about this movie without saying that.
I'm gonna start us off because I was so looking forward to this movie, and I don't have very many positive things to say. The one thing that I loved is how it was shot. It is. The way this guy shoots is up my alley and to the left.
Me too.
Did not think that's where you were going with that sentence.
I guess it was very
love
close.
It was grounded and handheld when it needed to be, and specific and composed when it needed to be. Love that stuff. But ultimately, I felt that this should have been a movie about people. But it wasn't. It was about an idea, and the characters were pawns in articulating this idea. Yeah, that perfectly sums up how I feel about it. What did you think of it, Alex?
I hated it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The filmmaking is really great, and so I thought it was. And I was also looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I had heard that it had gotten some really negative feedback in some of the festivals that it had been in, but to me, that stuff doesn't taint me in any way because, like, I said that. It doesn't affect me because most of the time I disagree with people who see things in festival, like critics and stuff. So my big problem with this movie was it had so many situations that were uncomfortable and not necessarily uncomfortable. Like, there were situations that Julianne Moore agreed to do where any sane person who had the ability to see would never effing do ever. And I had to say, if I had been not reviewing this movie, I probably would have left because I was like, I don't need to see this. It's like, it would be like watching somebody take a dog out and hit it with a stick and go, no, but don't you see how bad you feel? And it's like, well, yeah, but you're hitting a dog with a stick. Why wouldn't I feel bad? So to me, you know, and the other thing is that this is, I don't know why I've been having this symptom often, which is I feel bad when somehow the trailer, and I know this is all Jeff, don't watch the trailer time, because somehow the trailer convinces me that the movie is gonna be one thing, and then it's not. I wanted it to be more of a sci-fi thriller about what is going on. I wanted to know more about what is going on. And clearly that's not what this movie's about. This movie's about, this happened.
The first 20 minutes, that build-up,
right, there was
kind of into because that was what you were saying.
What is it? I was like, this is amazing.
And then it abandons
How is
that.
Because it's a MacGuffin to get them into this cage and then do things that humans may never do, but it's like, but maybe they would because look, they're in this cage.
I'm going to agree with you 1,000%, Alex, and that is the
not me.
Well, you too. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pile on this movie because I think there is something there. It's not all bad, but the essential problem with this is exactly what you said, which is that the people never seem to behave in a way that makes the most sense.
Right.
I talked last week a little bit about that sort of tacit contract that everyman action movies get into with the audience, where I need to believe that if I was in that situation, I would behave in a similar way. This movie completely fails on that, and it fails on it not only after they get into the detention area, where it completely fails on it, but even the very first moment of the movie where the guy sort of gives up his car and all. It is so. Every decision that people make is so odd, and when you have this person, and hopefully this isn't too much of a spoil, but when you have this person who can see in an arena of people who can't, that person has power, and she never exercises that power. And the idea of this movie is trying to, I think, create a metaphor that gets to some essential truth of human nature, right? The whole idea of getting these people into this detention center is to show this sort of essential truth. But I, as the viewer, will never buy into that. I will never be able to see that truth when I don't believe that the people are acting in a way that is remotely believable. There is no person that stands up in this movie and says, no, I will not stand for this. And I feel like if I was in that situation, that is exactly what I would do. The guy has one gun, and he's going to prevent everyone from. I'm gonna be. If I'm in that situation, I say to everyone, listen, one of us may die, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah. Or
let's bum rush
or
it.
if your girlfriend was excited, I'd be like, baby, take these and stab him in the fucking face.
Yeah.
You know
Or tell us what to
I
do.
love you.
Call out what. Tell us what to do because you can.
And I think all of what you guys are saying are symptoms of the problem that they didn't want to tell the people story. They wanted to tell this metaphor. Everything, and okay.
Right.
So,
Blindness.
That's Blindness. But as Jeff said, I hate that we're all poo-pooing it because I kind of
there's
there's something
there.
interesting. There's something interesting about
Also,
it.
the end is terrible.
Well, I'll talk to you about why that's not in the book. But
Oh yeah. All right, we got to move on to Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Another real downer about
Another just about a metaphor. So Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist is also based on a book by Rachel Kahn and David Levithan.
who, by the way, wrote the book via email.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they came. They weren't in the same place, and they decided they wanted to write a book together. So they'd write pages and email them, edit, write pages, email them, and they wrote this book.
That's why there's so many smileys in the movie.
There's something very.
Isn't there something really cool about that? I heard that on the radio this
pertaining to
morning.
the story. It's great. It's also directed by one of my other favorite directors.
Wow.
It's big week. Big week. This week with Dana T.
Also Espanol, I believe. His name's Peter Solit, and he did.
Espanol.
And
Racist.
he did Raising Victor Vargas, which is one of the greatest movies ever. One of the best relationship love story movies.
I like Circus Vargas. Is that close enough?
No.
Like Circus Peanuts.
And
Where are we?
Nick and Nora, though, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist is about Nick, played by Michael Cera, who's recently been dumped by his girlfriend. And him and his high school buddies, they go down to the city and meet up with the girls from an all-girls school that go down to the city. And Kat Dennings, who you may know from 40-Year-Old Virgin. And YouTube. She has a following on YouTube, which is funny because of a line in the movie.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
But and they meet up, and the friends want them to be together, and they may or may not see that in themselves.
Got it.
So, what did you think of this movie, Guffrey?
I liked it. I thought it was charming and sweet and had some genuine big laughs. We have a friend who criticizes Michael Cera a lot for basically doing the same thing over and over. I could watch Michael Cera do the Michael Cera thing endlessly. I think that I love watching that guy on screen being sweet and tender and genuine and innocent. You know, he's got that thing down pat, and I never call bullshit on it. It really always comes across as being real. This movie isn't going to change the world. It's not. I imagine there'll be some young people who really identify with it, and it'll be their movie for a long time, in the same way that Singles was for me, or there's some other movies like that. It's about music and that kind of nightlife that I remember when I was that age. But overall, it's a really fun experience. It's a great date movie. I don't know how you could really not like it. So, guys, tell me how you could not like it.
Interesting challenge you took on, Jeff. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was sweet. It was fun. It was funny. I thought Kat Dennings was super cute and charismatic. You know what I mean? I actually really thought that the friends of his were amazing. They were like pitch perfect, amazing. And it was one of those movies that kind of reminds you that every day has the opportunity of being the best day of your life. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a movie where
That's what I say.
you're watching these kids, and it's such a hopeful movie, and a movie about how anything can happen, and that each day is sort of worth experiencing to the fullest.
I love that Beatles monologue.
Oh, dude.
It's so great.
And the other thing we should talk about is the music that underscores this movie is amazing. They've picked all these great indie bands, and you really felt like the city was a character unto itself, and the music was a character unto itself, and you just basically are on this random awesome trip that you go on, and these
Dan
characters
clearly
are
does not like this movie because he's sitting there stewing.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'm so glad you guys liked it because I fucking loved it. Loved it.
Good.
Stand back, everybody.
I mean, love, adore, love.
Yeah.
I can only repeat those words because I can't find more of them.
If only there were poets here.
You know,
or a thesaurus. A thesaurus would work.
thesaurus.
listen, it's interesting. I have to talk about Raising Victor Vargas because it is the same movie in a different place. Raising Victor Vargas is a love story between two people set in an urban Spanish block, I think Spanish Harlem, in New York City, and it's just a small story between these people and their friends. This is the same, and Raising Victor Vargas feels like it's the kind of movie where you feel like the director has to have been from that neighborhood.
Right,
like
yeah.
it feels so personal.
Authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this movie is with a complete opposite cast of characters in a complete opposite milieu and feels the exact same way.
Yeah.
That it feels the most honest portrayal of that scene.
Yeah.
This movie is so grounded and so real, authentic. It is such a good love story. It's hysterical. It's positive.
Do you think it's without flaw?
I think it's very, for me, without flaw. I think it's, hang on a second.
Go ahead.
I think that it is the first successor to John Hughes. I think finally this generation of Superbad and all that stuff is a successor to like Animal House or just the comedies. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
This is like,
Breakfast Club,
yes,
16 Candles.
and about the truth between these people and smart and just brilliant.
There
and
was
the
some
score,
really great funny.
The score is amazing. Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo, he's been scoring since then, and I've never liked those. And this movie, amazing, and the soundtrack I own. I've been listening to it all week. This is going to be a Garden State soundtrack or Juno soundtrack.
You know,
I don't think it's as good as a movie as Garden State.
Well, but here's the thing. I disagree.
do.
But here's
I
the
do.
other thing that's going to make it even transcend the Garden State stuff. The Garden State, and this, my girlfriend pointed this out, who hadn't seen the movie, she was just listening to the CD, she said, this is like if Garden State was about upbeat, happy music. Garden State's music was great.
It's a lot of,
but it was a lot of like downy, like.
there's a lot of
emo
downy stuff in this movie too.
There were
But not on the CD.
There were similar songs. I don't know.
I think this.
I disagree with that.
I'm gonna temper your comments slightly and say that I did enjoy the movie. I liked it, as I said, but there are flaws. The three friends, they're all one guy. There's no separate voice between those three guys that are running around in the van. They're not written as individual characters. They're written as this malaise of supportive gay friend. It's like there's no distinction between them, and there's nothing that they particularly want. They're just that like thing that doesn't really exist in nature that is just there to support the lead. Do you know what I mean?
No, you know, I'm actually going to disagree because I think that that's what makes this movie grounded and real, and not a movie like this is not a slight against movies like Knocked Up. There's no high concept in this movie, and it's not about this kind of character mixed with this kind of character and this kind of character, like a sitcom, you know, and they all team up and hilarity ensues. To me, it's like life, you know, like these friends are, that is how I remember my friendships in high school. I didn't have a gay friend and a straight friend who hated gay people, but we all hung out, you know, like they weren't opposites.
I'm not arguing for that writing either.
I'm speaking in hyper real to emphasize the point that life is much more subtle than that, and I think that those friends are more true to life than they are true to characters in movies.
Right. Well, I will say before we go, real quick, some of the best drunk acting I've ever seen.
The best.
That girl played drunk. She may have just been drunk the entire time.
I think so.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, finally the time is nigh.
How long has it been?
This is
all
the
summer.
This is the results to the summer movie wager.
Our annual summer movie wager.
We waged.
True.
The way this works is we're gonna take a look at how the summer wound up.
Okay.
And then we will see how we scored based on it was the Time Travel Reviews Summer Wager thing. And we'll go over scoring in a bit.
Basically, you get score for being if you're getting the correct movie in the correct place, and you also get less of a score for getting it near the correct place.
Exactly. So, how did this summer turn out? Well, number 1, Dark Knight.
I remember very clearly thinking that there was no way Dark Knight was going to be a gigantic hit.
I'm surprised at how, I think the biggest surprise for me in that top 5 is Hancock.
Not I.
I
had it as 5, and Hancock was 4. And the reason why I said is Will Smith. Every movie Will Smith is in is a big plus. Regardless of what I think of it, how it's going to be, whatever, it's there. Anyway, number 2 is Iron Man.
So don't start congratulating yourself too much, man.
Because number 2 is Iron Man, and that was a movie I completely forgot to include on the list, period.
Yeah, maybe you just didn't think it was going to make any money. Yeah, you put it number 1. You thought it was going to make the most, which was a safe bet because it was the first big movie of the summer, and usually those have longer legs.
I'm surprised that Indiana Jones made as much as it did.
I put it number 1.
Because I put it number 1 as well.
Yeah, I put it number 2, and it was number 3.
Before we knew how disappointing that movie was going to be, it seemed like a really safe bet that it just trounced everything.
And clearly it was a safe bet, you know what I mean? Which leads us to my number 3 and the actual number 5, which is WALL-E.
I put WALL-E number 2, and I remember you mocking me because no Pixar movie has ever been so high on
top 3. Which was true, which was right.
You didn't say you think top 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go back to the videotape because we did record it.
Wow, it's really high.
I remember him mocking me.
So 6.
Oh,
Kung Fu Panda.
Guess what's my number 6, everybody?
Jeff.
KFP.
Wow.
You know what that is?
Who else put KFP on their list at all?
Mine was a dark horse. So Sex and the City was number 7.
I had Sex and the City 8.
Yes.
Interesting. I don't think that was on my list.
It was a dark horse for me as well. Actual number 8, Mamma Mia.
I am actually surprised that Mamma Mia made that much money. Whoa, whoa.
So number 9 is Narnia Chronicles, which wasn't on your list at all. It was a safe bet because mine was my number 2, was my Iron Man slot.
Wow, mine was number 4.
Because the first Narnia was top 3.
Right.
So, you know, one would think, but stinker.
Look what is on number 10 that none of us even, because you didn't even write it. We have the master sheet that Dan wrote up of all the movies coming out this summer.
From Entertainment Weekly.
And Incredible Hulk wasn't even on
there.
From Entertainment Weekly, I copied Incredible Hulk.
So we were.
I have a fear that I know who is going to win.
So.
And it's not going to be me.
That being said, let's tally the votes. So 10 points if you hit the name, if you hit the exact right spot on the list.
Right.
Shoot.
Okay, that's 10 points. 7 points is 1 away. 5 points is 2 away. 3 points if the movie is even on the list at all.
Okay.
And then 1 point for each dark horse.
Jeff, you trounced us.
So.
Did it really?
Yeah, 36. Dan got 29, I got 28, you got 36. That was a decisive victory.
Wow. You can double check my math, but so yeah, Jeff, the winner.
The Kung Fu Panda really helped.
Kung Fu Panda
is the winner for Jeff.
You know what that is, guys?
Skadoosh. Exactly what happened. Now, theoretically also, Steve put his own list in.
Oh my God.
Which won over top by 1 point, but now we have agreed that because Steve would not have needed to wash the car, he can't get the car washed.
Steve didn't wager.
He didn't risk.
Steve, there's no wager.
There was no wager.
Steve.
Make it.
All right, dudes. Well, it looks like we gotta wash a car, Dan. You ready?
You guys don't even know my car's filthy. Filthy.
Not for long.
Maybe we'll spritz in Steve's car's direction.
Maybe if Steve's lucky.
Yeah.
All right. It's gonna be epic. You and me, bud. Car.
Alex, aren't you glad that Dan finally got his comeuppance?
A little bit.
Dan had been winning all the wagers.
I don't need more comeuppance.
What did I win? Just the last wager.
Yeah, but what
you
do I
won
need
both.
more
You won the
comeuppance?
breakfast one too.
We're gonna start on this horribly dirty car by.
I have been letting it get dirty for weeks in preparation. Make sure you get the. There's a lot of bird poo.
I saw the bird poo.
I'm gonna be honest about the bird poo. There's quite a lot of
mitten over here. This is doing it.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Doing it.
See, I may have had to eat 4 raw eggs, but at least I get my car cleaned.
Some weeks you win, some weeks you lose. You never know what to do. The facts.
Hey, less singing, more scrubbing.
Now go.
No, I'm the one who's suffering with you.
I'm not doing anything.
We are in team.
Walk by. His grass is gonna die of food too much.
All I know is.
Hey, what? No, do your speech.
All I know is I better learn how to do karate after I'm done watching this.
Hey, how many birds live by you?
Dude.
Clearly a lot, or one with bad digestion.
You know, I'm kind of glad that I didn't win, because I don't know if I trust you guys watching my car. Now that I see what kind of job we're doing.
Wait, what?
Now, I just hope that the ladies in the forums pay me as many compliments with my guns as you did when you were watching.
You should be wearing a sleeveless shirt.
You hear that? Ladies, it's for you.
The ladies of Gun Town.
Hey, where's the soap? Is it down there?
It's over by your bucket.
I like I'm doing this and no muscles are. There were a lot of muscles behind this car when that happened.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, sorry.
Hey! Hey!
What? Everybody stop getting close to the water!
What's going on here?
Where's the super?
It's in a cone, yeah.
This is one of
Buy
the.
from TV?
No. This is an imitator. Do you want part of this?
Not really.
I don't think it's as absorbent as the super chamois. Dora the Absorber
Have you guys
over
seen the
here.
infomercial?
Here, why don't you try it, Dan? Maybe I'm
Yeah,
doing
Dan,
wrong.
you try it.
Danny.
Try it. Why does my window look bad?
I mean, just
I think it's maybe from the inside.
you got to bring it to a specialist,
Yeah,
an insider.
an inside man.
Give me the chamois.
Back windshield.
Look at that. Look at how much moisture's still here.
I didn't.
the
I'm not
chamois
done.
problem.
It's Alex's turn.
Chamois. You guys, this is freaking bird poo.
That's the bird poo I said.
He did say there was gonna be a problem
Clean
with
the
the
bird poo off.
It didn't come off.
Look at how much dirt is here. It's like you didn't even.
What do you mean?
Steve, come here. Look at this.
You watched us wash it. I'm getting the water
Look at all
off.
that dirt.
That's not dirt. That's
It's bird
Look,
poo.
you have
That's
to
not
we're
dirt.
not
You gotta wash
done.
it off. We're not done. This
We're
is the
wiping
part
it
of
off now.
It's the chamois part. And most of that bird poop's on the inside.
Well, my car is mildly less dirty, so that is a big win for me. Thanks,
you
guys.
imagine-
Good work.
You're due next year
Hey.
for a win.
Yeah, so I feel like it's
Yeah,
my time.
you just gotta study up.
See, that's how absorbent it is. It didn't even feel like anything. Let's do it.
The video game we've been playing this week is Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway on the Xbox 360. It's the third game in the Brothers in Arms series from Gearbox, and it follows the continuing tale of a group of soldiers. I don't know if the right word is platoon or...
Squadron? Squad?
Okay, we are clearly a bunch of...
Not
Murder of crows.
hippies.
We clearly didn't grow up in Israel.
I think it's a pod of soldiers.
Yes, a squadron of a group of men in World War II. And this is in contrast to games like Call of Duty or other first-person World War II games. This game is very much about commanding groups of soldiers. So you are the leader and you can command squads. In this third iteration of the title, or of the series, you're able to command multiple groups on certain levels and even different kinds of squads. So you have bazooka teams and assault
Machine gun
teams.
teams and yeah.
So it's World War II first-person shooter. We played it on the 360. Dan, did you like it?
What an interesting game.
And question you have posed to me, sir.
I thought that it had not up there. It is the best written and directed game.
Wow.
Cinematic sequences or whatever, like not game design or whatever, but the best written and directed game.
Well, this series is very famous for its story, and it very much is in that mold of the HBO series
Brothers in Arms.
Band of Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the same way that Call of Duty is and Medal of Honor are sort of Saving Private Ryan,
Yes.
this is that. So.
Interesting. Unfortunately for the wonderful writing and directing, the acting was horrible. And it's a shame because the words these guys were given were phenomenal, and the way it was shot, brilliant. Technically, a little shoddy. Technically, I got to a point in a level, and then all of a sudden I was at the end of the level. I didn't even complete doing something. Pop-in graphics, which happens even in games like GTA, but it was really horrible here. I had a lot of technical hiccups that detracted from the experience.
Is it fun?
But I really liked it. It grew on me. I did not love it at first, but towards the end of playing it, I really fell in love because the experience of playing this game is like as if you're in first-person mode of a top-down tactical shooter or tactical game, like or RTS strategy game. Because it is about, it's not run and gun, as you've already said. You know, it's plotting where your troops go and how you fit into flank them, or not flank, or send them to flank and you hold. You know, it's but instead of just making those decisions, you get to make those decisions and then live in it, which is something I've always wanted to experience.
Living in your decisions?
Yeah, no, like when we saw that cool naval game at E3, when the pirates, it's like it'd be cool to, or a Civ, you know, it'd be cool to like make the, or sport, you know, make the decisions and then be inside the guys and the troops that you just sent to attack that village or whatever. So this game gave me that.
Interesting.
So you know, unfortunately, I found it a little bit, even though I loved the writing, I found the story a little bit hard to follow, and I wish that I had played the previous games. It seemed to be
it's definitely a sequel.
But by the end, I was able to grasp what was happening and.
What about you, Alex? Did you like it?
No, not at all. It's funny, we had a lot of the same experiences. Well, no, okay, not really. I didn't like the story at all. I thought the story was just so overblown and convoluted and complicated. I had no idea who I was even playing half the time.
Yeah.
People all had scars on their faces.
Right.
So I was like, who am I? And then somebody dies, and then it cuts to a guy, and I'm like, is that, did I just die? Now it's a different person. I mean, it was so confusing. I thought that because I wasn't following the story and I didn't care, and I was like, you guys think you've written a masterpiece, and it's not. The camera angles and moving and all that stuff was so distracting. I was like, if I wanted to see Band of Brothers, I'll see Band of Brothers. I want to shoot some Nazis. I want a gun.
Well, there's lots of shooting.
Well, but there's not really. This is the other thing that I had a problem with. Before getting into some technical issues that I had, not quite the same as you, but more gameplay and mechanical issues. You know, I was sort of in the mode of this is run and gun, and so I was running and gunning, and I was like, why aren't these guys following me? Like, where's the follow me button, which doesn't exist? You can point and send them, but
no, you push down on the D-pad.
Oh, dude, I looked through all the controls. I read the manual. I could not figure that out. Anyway, that didn't really, no, not B. B just selects a different one. But
no,
anyway,
if you
that
hold B,
didn't.
it says in the beginning tutorial, if you hold B.
Also,
the tutorial.
Also,
Anyway.
it's designed to punish you if you do the run and gun style. So
Yes, I got a lot of that too, because I was literally sitting there shooting and I kept hearing this, what's with the lack of communication? And I was like, bro, what? I'm shooting people. What? Why aren't we flanking? And I was like, I don't know why you're not fucking flanking, go flank. And then I figured out the mechanic and I started doing it, and then it just, the whole rest of the time I was like, this is not, like, it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And of course now, since I had this issue with the story, I didn't care to get to the thing so I could see the next cutscene. It was like all sticks, no carrot for me.
what were the issues that you had?
The cover mechanic I thought was bad.
This is the first game in the series to have that, so the...
Yeah, which, and you know, I feel like now that I've played games like Gears and Call of Duty, I like the cover mechanic. I look for the cover
Where you push
mechanic.
a button and stick to cover.
Yes, I like it. You pop out and shoot. That, to me, that's my new favorite thing, and I look upon games that don't have it as sort of like a little less than for me, because I've now been trained to, oh, there's a thing, get under it, and then I'm like, why am I still getting hit? Anyway. When you would get up against a wall, I would turn and pull the trigger and it wouldn't fire. I would have to constantly be tapping it in order to get it to start firing finally. Then I could hold it down and it would fire. And then when you pop off the wall, you pop off way further ahead than you should, which causes me to actually get attacked sometimes, because I was like, well, I just want to get off the wall, and then all of a sudden I'm like 6 feet into a room full of Nazis. And I'm like, well, that was a bad idea. So I compensated for some of that. I mean, maybe that's just how they wanted the game to be played, but that stuff, it all just sort of took me out. I mean, overall,
yeah. Well, I didn't run into the technical issues that either of you guys mentioned, which is odd.
I didn't run into the graphical popping and stuff.
Yeah. I really liked playing the game, but it's funny because I agree definitely with you about the story, is that I felt the story was the weakest element of the game. And I get what they're trying to do, and it's a noble effort to create a more complicated, interesting kind of way of telling the story. But I think the graphic engine and the character models and the acting were not up to the task of telling this story.
I agree.
Like you, every single guy except the redhead looked exactly the same. And they would do these great long tracking shots where we would walk through a whole platoon and into guys' tents and out of other guys' tents, and they would be 12 of the same guy, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know who. I mean, other than the Italian guy and the redhead, I didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
And I thought that the end of the story was particularly unsatisfying. The thing you do at the very beginning that sets up like, oh my God, who's dead? Is anybody dead? And then when we find out what really happened, it's such a letdown.
I loved that experience.
But I really liked playing the game. I love the cover and flank and command your troops style of gameplay. Every single level seemed to me like a puzzle, like a little puzzle where you figure out, okay, well I have to go here and they go here and I move those guys here and we go creep up little by little and then I flank, and that was completely satisfying. Also, graphics, I think it's the Unreal Engine 3. I didn't look it up, but it seems like it is. And that has the pop-in. That's where the pop-in stuff comes from. It's that Unreal Engine 3 problem that's systemic. But it's true. Somebody said that fire is the new water. Definitely true. Every game that comes out now, it seems like it has fire all over the place. Anyway, I really like the game, and I think the gameplay itself is so much fun that being able to follow the story or not so much.
Well, let me just say too that I did have the same experience with the characters, and that's why I want to make clear that I love the writing and the directing, and I think that, and I also found the story hard to follow.
Yeah.
And I think it's credit to what you guys do.
Yeah.
Because I think
Dan.
the performances, both visual, the character models, and their voice work was so terrible that you guys weren't even able to enjoy the great things that were happening.
Agreed.
So big news this week. Nintendo had a big press conference, and they announced a new version of the DS.
Wait, what?
Yes, it's called the DSi.
Better graphics? Or is it just a better...
It's a larger screen, thinner.
Same guts?
No, Sony guts. It's got no GBA slot anymore.
It's got a camera.
So you can't play things like.
How many GBA games were you slamming into
Well,
that
you
sucker?
can't play GBA games, and you also can't play things like Guitar Hero, which we all didn't like, but there's a lot of people who did. It sold like gangbusters. So it has 2 cameras.
What? It has cameras?
2 cameras.
So you can take pictures?
You can take pictures. Also, it has an SD card slot. So there's a whole new initiative of downloadable games that you'll be able to...
And welcome.
Well, no, I mean, there's a whole legal Nintendo's doing downloadable games.
Sure.
Are you guys excited? Is it the kind of thing that you want to buy a new DS for?
It'll have to be
Under $100.
Well, it'll have to be a
not
graphical overhaul.
No, it's basically the same games are going to play on it.
There's no. I'm waiting for the next version of the PSP and the DS.
Unless the camera gameplay implementation of the camera is.
Well, let me tell you this idea. What if I kind of was thinking about the same thing? Like the camera could be the cool thing.
Because I've been having so much fun with my PSP. I'm just saying. I never want to go to the DS again.
Well, what if they did a version of Pokemon Snap, where you are actually going out in the world with your DS and you take a picture of something real, and then the image you see is the real thing with a Pokemon in it or not, and depending on, like, it analyzes the geometry of what it's seeing and it determines whether Pokemon are in that world. That would be awesome!
This goes back to, I want to be more I want my games to help me be more lazy, not more active.
All right, speaking of being lazy,
parks or anything.
The other big kind of hardcore gamer announcement that they made at this press conference was the new Punch-Out for the Wii. Which, kind of curious that it wasn't announced at E3, where they could have used something like that. Bless you, Steve. So Punch-Out, we all loved as kids. Don't even have to say how much we loved it, because we all loved it.
I bet you one of us knows the code, the Mike Tyson code.
What's the one that says?
I don't remember it. Whenever I'm with someone, they remember it.
I know the Konami code. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah.
You guys excited to Punch-Out on the Wii?
Here's the thing.
It looks cool.
It looks great. I am excited as long as it is not me physically punching.
It's going to be you physically punching.
Then I'm not going to play this
They
game.
have to implement. I agree with you.
Punching on the Wii Sports is fun.
Not good. I mean, it's not like I have any skill in that. It's so not organized.
Well, your lack of skill, sir.
They need to allow you to also turn it sideways and play.
They're not going to.
Well, then
I predict. I don't have no thing to base that on, but I predict.
Right?
There's no way.
Do you want to be standing in your living room punching?
Especially
Wii Sports is fun.
It is fun.
For 10 minutes, 15 minutes, have you played that for
But you don't want to sit there and play 6
now
hours of Punch-Out.
Actually, do you remember Punch-Out? Do you remember Punch-Out?
I loved Punch-Out.
Was Punch-Out not hard playing like this?
Yeah, my thumb hurt.
Were you not sweating playing like this?
Yes.
So now you're going to be doing that for
Shoulder burn.
I'm sweating sitting here right now.
How long did it take? Exactly.
Right, just think if you were punching.
Punch this.
Wait, whoa. Hello, more thoughts. First of all, the music.
We gotta get out of here.
The music, I want to go download right now. This jazzy, better version of the music from Punch-Out. Hello.
Yeah, we'll get Wii Music. I'm sure it'll be in that.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
and the
you can play
graphics
it like
are
a
cool,
bad
and I'm
flute.
so excited. But you raise an interesting point. It's not Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, so who's the end guy?
It's
Same guy, but just graphics.
No, it'll be Randy Macho Man Savage.
What?
Wasn't that who was it? It wasn't the Macho Man. It was one of the guys. The guy before Mike Tyson was Randy Macho Man
I
Savage.
don't think so, but we'll get 1,000 corrections. Steve will correct it right now.
Bing.
Punch me!
So it's time for TV. We're starting to get into the full swing of premiere season, as it were, which is great for TV. Obviously, one of my favorite
Not great for free time.
It's horrible for free time. So we want to talk about a couple new shows, and then we want to check in on some old shows, and then talk about some new shows that we talked about previously. First, I want to talk about The Mentalist. Okay. Mentalist is stars Simon Baker, who's one of those people who's notorious for being in a couple different series that immediately get canceled. Who's bounced around actor-wise. Robin Tunney.
Robin Tunney.
Robin Tunney.
She was in the pilot of House.
Yes, she was also in the first season of Prison Break. That Witches movie.
End of Days.
End of Days. What was that Witches movie? Wiccan or whatever?
You
that
mean The
movie was?
Craft? Was she in The Craft?
She was in The Craft.
Oh, weird.
Anyway, so The Mentalist follows Simon Baker's character, who's basically a guy who's uber perceptive, very, very smart, and used to make a living as a sham celebrity psychic. Clairvoyant, as it were.
Like John Edwards.
Like if John Edwards was actually a really smart guy who was just being perceptive and lying, which we may or may not be true,
Right. That
is Simon Baker's character. He then becomes a consultant for basically what is the California Bureau of Investigations, which doesn't exist. And then it becomes sort of like, you know, your standard CSI meets Monk procedural drama. So I want to know what you guys thought. Danny? You got a chance to see, we've seen 2 episodes now.
Yeah, I saw 2. It's a very solid show. It is just very TV. It's just very mediocre to me. It is not a part of the golden age of television that has been happening since HBO and Lost and all these postmodern shows. This is from it's just as you said, CSI, Law and Order, It is one of those shows, and it's very solid and very good at being that. But I don't get, it's hard to extract anything more from that. It borrows heavily from Sherlock Holmes, which was borrowed heavily from on House and done very well. I think this doesn't do it as good as House. I don't get why they made it with the show like House.
Those are very, very successful.
Right, other than
shows.
that, you know.
What do you mean why they made it?
I don't get the reason for making it when you have House and you have...
Because the person who made it doesn't have any financial stake in House.
Right, no, but I know, I just creatively, like, it seems like... But it's fine, it's good,
not a medical
it's
drama.
serviceable.
It's not a medical drama, so it's not the thing that they're investigating in his own way. It's not medical. He's also not a sort of anti-hero like House would be. You know, people don't hate him. They may be frustrated with him because he's so smart, but so anyway, so there are differences. But
I think the gist of what you're saying is that there are a lot of shows of this ilk.
Yeah.
That there's, you know, the Carrie Cedric show and the
Closer.
Yeah, there's all those kinds of, and the chick used to be married to Nicolas Cage.
Medium,
Medium. Yeah.
yeah, Medium.
There's a lot of shows of that.
Yeah. That's more science fiction. So what did you think?
I agree with Dan mostly. I actually really liked it, and I had fun watching it. And he's a great character, and I love the game of how he not only has to sort of dupe and play the people he's investigating, he has to dupe and play his own teammates who never really trust him, or kind of think he's bogus.
Right.
But I think it's curious, the insatiable seeming appetite of Americans for mysteries. You know, that they really can't get enough of a murder mystery. I like me a murder mystery, but I don't think these kind of shows are the kind of thing that I love or get really excited about. That said, I think this is a very good show.
Yeah, I kind of had the same feeling. I mean, it's very classic TV. It's very classic, you know, there's the hero, there's his squad, he's inevitably the person who solves it all, and there's that tension, and there's, you know, and it's procedural. I also enjoyed this show. It's definitely on my Netflix, or not Netflix, it's on my DVR.
Yeah.
To be prepared to be watching every week. But I'm also a sucker for those things. Law & Order SVU, huge fan.
Right.
All the CSIs except for Miami. So good. I'm glad that you guys sort of enjoyed it. It wasn't painful. We've definitely seen some pain.
Well, yeah, it's not painful. It's
Are you going to
solid.
watch next week?
No.
Okay. You
I'll
gonna
watch
next week?
No,
I probably will.
Yeah, okay.
If I had if I didn't have other shows that I loved watching, I probably would if I had time to kill.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly.
Then you would kill, and the Mentalist would find you.
I have to say, this season, I'm very excited because I think there's some very interesting shows. We're going to talk about a few of them, which it scares me a little bit because of that. So one of the other shows that we're going to talk about this week premiered last Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, which is The Life and Times of Tim. An HBO animated series. It's created, written by, and starring Stephen Dildarian. I think it was a D-I-L. Dildarian. So this is basically an animated series that follows the life of a guy named Tim, who's kind of down on his luck.
Also his
a
times.
little bit. It's also his times are involved. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a little bit like Katz, Dr. Katz meets
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, animated.
Yeah.
Jeff, what did you think?
Well, full disclosure, one of my very good friends is working on the show and has been working on the show for a long time, and it's finally debuted. So I'm inclined to support him. So I'll say that. But independent of that, I think it's great, and I entertained me thoroughly. It's very funny. It's odd. We only saw the first episode so far.
Correct.
It's odd that they started each half an hour is 2 15-minute episodes, and it's odd, I think, that they started with the episode that they did in the first episode, the first 15-minute segment of the first episode.
Angry Unpaid Hooker.
Right, which I thought, and it seems, judging by the second episode of the first episode, second half of the first episode, that this is kind of an everyman guy who gets himself into these situations despite good intentions.
Right.
But in the first episode, he literally calls a hooker.
Right.
So you immediately have this kind of reaction to the character of, I don't know if I like this guy because he wanted backdoor action with a hooker.
Right.
While he has a girlfriend.
And her parents were showing up that day.
Yes. So I kept waiting. In fact, I rewound it to say, did I miss the setup for this? Because I kept waiting for there to be some hilarious reason why he didn't intend to do that.
Right.
But he actually did call a hooker. So I thought that was odd because immediately I'm kind of distanced from the guy. I don't relate to him. Whereas in the second half of the episode, which I thought was superior, I really did feel for the guy because he was just kind of trying to do the right thing, and he just kind of circumstances conspired to make him.
Okay. Dan, what did you think?
I had a problem with the last handful of episodes of seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I was like,
because they got what happened was so far-fetched and so ridiculous, and to me the show was about how ridiculous things happen and him fumbling his way through it as opposed to
simple ways.
Yeah,
right.
But in the earlier seasons of Curb, it was more like Seinfeld, and more sort of just a little bit of situations that he got himself into, not just like crazy, shocking crazy. This show has all those things, but I'm fine with it because it's animated.
Right.
Interesting.
I love the low-key, hand-drawn animation. Love it. And I love the under-your-breath sense of humor. The funniest things that happen are the things, he says like a million words, to get himself out of something, and the one little thing he quickly says under his breath is hysterical.
He just throws it away.
And it's similar to, I really started loving this show Worst Week. I know
it's a horrible show. You did not like it as much as you like.
I think it's a great show. And the funnier moments in that show are the under the breath moments. I love that kind of sense of humor, and Life and Times of Tim has that in spades. It's great.
What do you think,
hysterical.
Alex?
So I really hated the first half. Like despised it. This is not funny. I don't like this guy. Why would anybody like a guy who calls a hooker on the day that his girlfriend and parents are, and we're supposed to like this guy?
Right.
Bad. None of the jokes were funny. Towards the end of that part, it started to kind of get a little bit more funny with like the pimp and the clothing stuff. I was like, okay, I kind of get the. And then the second part was hysterical, and I loved it. And I was like, it's funny that you said that because I think that is exactly the case. They totally put the wrong foot forward with this, and I hope it doesn't bite them in the end, because I could easily see a lot of people watching the first 7 to 10 minutes and saying, this is a show I hate and will never watch again. And that's too bad, because I think that's not what the show is. I got a little distracted with the hand-drawn bad animation. I got a little distracted. I was like, you know what? Maybe for the web. This is HBO. It didn't seem like it was a style choice. It seemed like it was somebody who was like, I'm gonna draw this, but I can't draw. I'm not a drawer. And then she was like, well, we'll figure out the rest. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I'm a cabinet, not a
there
drawer.
Was a little bit. So there was a little bit of that I.
Can I follow up on 2 things?
Sure.
You mentioned Dr. Katz, which I didn't even put together in my head, but I felt like that had similar low-key animation, which I thought, but I thought that lended to it. It lends to the humor, and because it lends to the quietness, the quiet humor. But also, it's interesting that both you guys had that reaction to you don't like the guy for making that choice, and I didn't even. Maybe it's the animation or whatever, but I didn't even like.
Well, that's what you do in your personal life.
I didn't even.
Often.
I didn't even make a decision whether I liked him or not. I sort of almost signed a tacit contract with the show. Like it's not about like liking him. It's about the ridiculous thing has happened. And how is he gonna talk his way out of it?
I think almost every show that happens, you're supposed to like the main character in some way. You're supposed to relate to them or whatever.
Well, it's such an egregious thing.
I know. Okay. It was just a weird tone to step your foot off of when that's clearly not. He's not a guy who buys hookers.
Right.
He's the guy who accidentally buys a hooker and then gets screwed for it. Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
and so,
intended.
So also, we want to talk about the fact that the love-hate relationship with Heroes is continuing. Mostly hate from the beginning of the stuff. Now, Heroes, when we were at Comic-Con, they made a big point of coming out of Comic-Con and saying, we know Heroes sucked. We get it. We apologize. Something about a strike. But we're gonna fix it. So the first 3 episodes, the first week was a 2-episode week, have been out, so 3 episodes in. You guys watched,
and people come back, but they come back years later rather than the next season. You know.
You're talking about the Ali Landry character,
Ali Larter,
Or Ali Larter.
It's.
What did you think?
I didn't like the first 2 episodes, or I didn't like the first one, and the second one I warmed up to, and the third one I really warmed up to. Yet I don't like any of the characters, which is. You know, the only thing I should like about the show, you know, but some of the stuff that was happening was cool. Like cool as in it's just cool. So I liked it. I'm trying to remember what those things were.
That's right, you don't need to remember.
But I have no idea why Siler and
Noah.
What's her name's dad?
Noah.
Became a buddy cop movie?
I have no idea what the logic behind that was. They completely glossed over. Yet, it was
cool for a second.
Right, like the interaction could be cool, but it didn't earn that thing.
What would have earned that for me?
Fast Girl, the special effects.
Oh my God.
Fast Girl, she's very annoying. Actor.
Very annoying.
But the special effects when he's following her trail, awesome. That was awesome. So there's a few awesome moments, and which the second season didn't have. So this show is definitely pulling forward the cool superhero stuff. But the characters do nothing.
So here's the problem that I have with Heroes, because I agree with both of you, some in varying degrees. I agree the first season was great because the first season was, here is a thing that is happening, a bad thing that is happening, and we don't know what it is.
It was a discovery process.
Right. And then there were a few people who had powers. A few people. We've gotten into a situation where it is literally like a salad buffet of random characters that happen to have powers. Rather than adding more people into this mix of this show, they should have been killing people to get it to be more manageable. It doesn't make anybody special when 7 people are fighting 7 other people. What was cool about it was, here's a person that can kill anybody at will. And there are a handful of people who don't even realize they are the only people who can stop this person. And that is what was powerful to me. That was what was great for me. It was, are they going to do the right thing? Do they even know that they can do the right thing?
I think there's a way to make that work. I mean, X-Men has been doing it for years in comics.
No. There are, but they clearly don't have the ability because I think they lost focus of what it was that made Heroes a phenomenon. They think it's something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
And Lost is a great example of when they got that train off the tracks, they figured out how to get it back on the tracks. They thought this is what's so great about Lost, and it wasn't what was truly great about Lost, and they went down this path, and that's where people lost it. And then they went, oh, we get it. This isn't what it's about, and they got it back on track. So hopefully Heroes can do that. We got tons of other stuff coming up in TV, so stick tuned, as it were, and we will talk more about TV later. Bye-bye. So before we get to our email, we do want to thank our sponsors, Squarespace.com, sponsoring the show. Not only are they sponsoring the show, they have gone way above and beyond their rights, legal rights, clearly, as a sponsorer. They have totally hooked up my blog, alexalbrecht.com, totally hooked up Little Danny Trachtenberg's blog, dantrachtenberg.com. They're currently in production on the mighty Jeffcanada.com.
Yeah.
There's an HBO first look.
That's not the
There is actually, there is a
not the
first
URL actually, but
That's not URL, Jeffcanada.com?
yes, but you said the mighty Jeffcanada.com.
Oh, well, no, the mighty was implied by www. So if you want to get blogging, hosting software, the best WYSIWYG editor I've ever seen on a web design site. Hosting plans starting at like, I don't even know what their prices are, like $7.99 and up.
It's so cool to be able to be sponsored by a product that we actually believe in.
And
it's
use.
so cool.
And the other thing is, you know, I said this before, Kevin got dug, a story that he put on his blog got dug, and he got slammed by traffic. Site was butter smooth, always up, and Kevin actually emailed Dane over at Squarespace and said, did you like bump up my account or something because I didn't go down? He said that is how everybody's account should be. No matter how much you pay, no matter how little you pay, your site should never go down. And I love that about this company. So you can head over to squarespace.com. If you use the coupon code TRS when you check out, not only do you get 10% off the first time you pay, you get 10% off the lifetime of your site.
Wow. Easy.
Maybe the best deal that we have going, squarespace.com. We love the Squarespace. You should love the Squarespace too.
Also very excited to announce a new sponsor this week, EA's Dead Space video game.
Spaces.
Which we got to play hands-on at PAX.
So excited for this game.
It blew our minds. You probably saw the footage when we played it. It is really, it's a survival horror game. It's EA's first survival horror game. Set in space, there's this awesome zero gravity thing that you're a miner, a space miner, and so not a soldier. So you have all your weapons are just mining implements, and it's got this awesome mechanic where you can sever limbs of creatures.
And with the zero gravity, you
leap from point to point.
Yes. Yeah. Your world reorients.
But the coolest thing is they are also going above and beyond, and they are going to give a free copy of Dead Space to one of our viewers. And the way we're going to determine which viewer this is we want you to send us your best Halloween story, scary moment you were scared, moment you scared somebody else, cool haunted house maybe you went to. This is a scary game, so we want stories that have to do with being scared or scaring someone else. Send them to fans@totallyradshow.com and put in the subject line,
I'm scared thinking about
Dead Space Contest. So the subject line needs to say Dead Space Contest. Send them in. We're going to pick one lucky viewer in 2 weeks. So in episode 83,
we'll give them time to send in the stories and for us to read the
Episode
stories.
83, we're going to pick a viewer, and that person's going to get a free copy of Dead Space. So that's pretty freaking cool.
Remember that guy we met at some video game thing who was telling us those like ghost stories that were like real?
Yes.
Scared? Like when people say shit that's like, when they're like, okay, it's not fake. This really, the VCR went on and then whatever, like weird, subtly weird, fuck me up. Okay.
Dan had a moment.
I'm having a cursing problem this episode. GoDaddy also sponsored our show, so if you want to host a site, I know you have jeffcanada.com from GoDaddy. I have dantrachtenberg.com from GoDaddy.
Order your domains.
Order the domain name so that you can then build your site with Squarespace. It's a good idea to head over to GoDaddy. They have plans to start as low as
$1.99? Or?
There are some domain names you can get that are $1.99.
That's what it is. They have really easy startup software, and when you go through and you order your site, it's super easy to find what you want to do, and they offer all these follow-up things that are cheap that can help you out in building your site.
Yeah, like a private Whois, which is great.
Yes.
I hate public Whoises.
I know.
So,
my old home phone number was on public Whois.
GoDaddy.com. Head over to GoDaddy.com and put in the promo code. Is it TRS?
TRS1.
TRS1.
We'll get you 10% off your entire order.
10% off the entirety of your order.
Get your piece of the internet, GoDaddy.com. All right, let's get to our email. This email comes to us from Joe in Utah. Joe Cocker, in my opinion, made one of the best covers ever. The song was With a Little Help from My Friends by the Beatles. And not only did Joe Cocker make it an amazing song, but the smart people of the Wonder Years used Joe Cocker's adaptation to introduce their show. The song fit so well, and On Its Own was also On His Own is also great. So what I say, I say it is one of the best intro songs for a TV show. What I ask you is, what is your favorite TV show intro? We're assuming he means intro song,
right?
Not just intro. Always a great show, Joe from Utah. Good question, Joe. I was a huge fan of the Wonder Years song. I remember it. Also,
well, it's a Beatles song.
No. I mean, but from the Wonder Years, that
right.
version from the Wonder Years was when the first time I ever heard that song in that way.
I almost think that's cheating a little bit in the sense that it's a repurposed song. I'm a big fan of those songs that are there's a whole line of songs that were written for shows and tell you the story of the show. Great, love those.
Cheers.
Well, yeah, but I mean like the Brady Bunch and like literally Gilligan's Island that tells you the story in
the A-Team.
A-Team's got a great song. There's a lot of really great songs. Airwolf, excellent theme song, but that's not even lyrics. So many great theme songs. My favorite, probably, if I had to pick, Dukes of Hazzard had a great theme song.
Oh yeah.
My favorite might be Look at What's Happening to Me.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I can't believe
By the way,
it myself.
did you see him in Heroes?
I did, well, briefly.
Well, he exploded.
Yes. So, in case you didn't catch that, Greatest American Hero.
Good one. Good one. Danny?
And Tron was in Heroes.
Bruce Boxleitner.
Bruce Boxleitner, who I love.
Yeah.
Scarecrow, Mrs. King, also good.
Oh, great show.
Danny.
Oh, I never.
I'm hypnotized.
Well, I didn't think about songs at first. The first thing I thought of was
one thing. I'm trying to hypnotize you. Like
oh yeah, wait. MacGyver. MacGyver has
that's good.
Sweeping score. I got in a kick where recently I was TiVoing them off of USA or something.
Yeah.
And normally after you see a show a few times, you skip that. I would, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd be like,
also sounds a lot like
it would build and then it'd get mysterious and then it would kick in with its final. And the final, when it comes back, was like, and it hits you so hard.
And then it explodes.
Yeah, love it. But song, if you go to my MySpace page, you can hear. For a while it was Gummy Bears. We love Gummy Bears, but
that's in here and there and everywhere. High Adventure, that's beyond compare.
But Reading Rainbow. It's too magical and special. It's so magical. Yes.
Well, I'm gonna say, I mean, all of those, and I love songs that were sort of made specifically for it, but some really good uses of actual songs. I'm gonna go with the CSIs. CSI, the original one with the Who Are You?
I said, who the hell are you?
Dude, it's genius. It's a first off a brilliant song, but also it's a show about trying to figure out who the person is, and the song is Who Are You? Who? I really want to know. Genius.
You would have really loved when I got to see the Who live at E3.
I would have.
And it was like a really small theater, and I was really close, and it was amazing. Rock band party.
It would have been fun. So then it started the train of Who songs for each of the different CSIs, which I think is really great because they have such great, powerful songs that they even make sense, even though clearly the Who Are You song for CSI was like the bread and butter.
It'd be funny if they get enough CSIs that they have to get like way down on
the charts. Like,
my generation.
For modern shows, I think you guys will agree with me too.
when I liked the show, the Battlestar Galactica, that music.
Oh yeah, the taiko drum
gets you
stuff.
so.
Yeah. Because it's so minimalist and it's just, and then all the
And epic.
silence.
I never could watch it because they'd play it during previews of the episode I was about to watch, which I hate.
Well, I skipped that.
Wait,
that
during what?
At
the
end
beginning
their-
of
yeah.
Battlestar Galactica, they always showed scenes from
that actual
episode
episode.
you were about to start watching.
Yeah, but it was vague enough. I mean,
It was not vague enough,
But,
sir.
oh, wow.
Ice cream man.
But yeah, I always want to say
Little stars,
small
maybe.
yet big.
I like it. It's a very
All
good way
right.
to put it. All right, well, if you would like to have us answer your question on the show, please feel free to send us an email, fans@totallyradshow.com.
That's also where you would send us a background. We
Yeah, like
love
AFP.
these backgrounds. Send them to us at fans@totallyradshow.com. Go to our website, totallyradshow.com. Download this background this week. Download a template, excuse me, thank you,
All right, no, please.
for our logo, so you can make your own background and send it in. Also go to our website and join the forums. There's really cool discussions of all kinds of stuff, TV, movies, video games, comics, this episode, others, at totallyradshow.com. And also I've been talking about voting, which there's nothing more rad in the world, and I've gotten such awesome feedback about it. People are registering to vote. It makes me feel like
cool.
the greatest
Really
thing
cool.
ever. So you can register to vote. If you haven't already lost your deadline, this is for the United States. November 4th is the day to vote.
Awesome.
USA.
Danny Tish.
Also on the website are the movies we're going to review next week, and those are Body of Lies and Rock and Roll.
Rock and roll.
So head over to totallyradshow.com for those.
Also, you can follow us up on Twitter, twitter.com/Alex Albrecht.
/Jeff Canada.
I
Slash
heard
Danny TRS.
/ Steve TRX. Also, if you like some cool gear, like my shirt, or shirts with our logos, head over to jinx.com/TRS to get all your TRS gear over there. It's such a good gear, that TRS stuff. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Totally Rad Show. Until next Tuesday at noon, I'm Alex Albrecht.
Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
See you at the movies. Keep you honest, yeah.
This dude. It's from the elbows.
This just doesn't seem fair.